Hey guys, morning,
Hey,
good
Hey,
afternoon.
good
how's it going?
morning, good afternoon. Hello to everybody. Thanks for joining us for this cloud security posture live stream. A lot of relevant things in the news lately that made us want to kind of get on and talk to our people about it, what exactly we mean by cloud security posture, and get some real life understanding of what our practitioners are seeing and what we can do to help you mitigate risk, because that's really what it's all about in this space. But feel free to interact with us in the chat. We're looking to do these sorts of live streams about once a month. So definitely, stay up to date with our upcoming events. At PMsquare.com, there's a big get in touch button in the top right corner. Just utilize that. And you can select what sort of areas of interest you have, and we'll automatically send you content based on some of the newest stuff that we're doing and some of the events that we have upcoming. But Angie, if you could share that in the chat also, that'd be fantastic. So with me today is Sanjeev Pant. He's our VP of Cloud, and RC Reynolds, a real life practitioner in the cloud security space. So I'm excited to have a bit of a fireside chat, kind of talk about some of the more topical things that are happening these days, and then of course some of the real world experiences that we've encountered in this space for us. So Sanjeev, RC, you guys want to say hi real quick?
Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are. Sanjay, based in Denver. As Craig mentioned, the VP for Cloud Solutions and Services. I look forward to this interaction with the team.
Hey everyone, I'm also based out of Denver, near Sanjeev. So yeah, I'm the cloud security, cloud cyber and security specialist. So looking forward to today's chat.
Hey, yeah, and man, I didn't realize we had such a strong Denver showing here.
Right.
That's fantastic. I happen to be in Tucson at the moment. That's why it's a little extra sunny, but be back in Denver here soon. Um, but yeah, so today's format is just going to be kind of like a fireside chat, really, just an open discussion about cloud security and some of the relevant things we're seeing right now. I mean, Sanjeev, you and I had a conversation not too long ago about DeepSeek, right? So DeepSeek just flipped everything on its head, and it kind of got us having a lot more conversations about shadow AI and governance and things like that. And of course, that kind of plays into the cloud security posture conversation. What's your take on DeepSeek and other kind of like more relevant threats that we're seeing these days?
Great question, Craig. I think it leads into some of the discussions we want to have. It's a very organic discussion, right? If you look at DeepSeek and also Cursor, those are the two new, very innovative and disruptive AI tools in the market today. Both have had downloads I think they were the fastest downloaded applications in the App Store to date. And so the interesting point about this is that in today's environment, where we have traditional enterprises who are trying to catch up to the rapid innovation and the viral adoption of Gen AI type of tools like DeepSeek and Cursor, um, it brings up a big question around PMsquare being a data first cloud company. We look at everything from a data standpoint. So it brings up a good point where when DeepSeek and Cursors like viral adopted Gen AI tools comes into market, how do you create instrumentations and a rapid incident response around to tackle some of these challenges that enterprises might have? So whatever we are trying to do within PM Square is born out of necessity. It's born out of our experiences working with our customers in this space, and and we have had so much really good responses from our end customers who are trying to understand the viral adoption of Gen AI tools and how can we really create that instrumentation and rapid response services around it to tackle these very fast growing adoptive and viral tooling out there, right? And that is why, as we say, right, in the data space, what we can measure, we can't improve upon. So the idea of CSPA and CSPM is born of necessity based on our customers' demand.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I mean, you gave two good exemplars there. You said DeepSeek, and we know that that's kind of that Chinese hedge fund backed, quick to market, not using, NVIDIA's latest GPUs, sort of OpenAI ChatGPT sort of competitor, right? And that I remember that was like just so quick, that hit market and was downloaded. It was number one overnight in the App Store, in the Google Play Store, and all that. But RC, so the Sanjeev also mentioned another tech there. Was it Cursor? So
For sure.
we're talking about like generative AI code generation, right?
Sure.
Correct.
So RC, tell us what sort of security risks does that kind of introduce if you're
Well, I
using
think,
something like a Cursor?
yeah, I think that one of the main challenges with any AI, Gen AI use, is it expands the attack surface, right? So when you're looking at an AI model, these can be manipulated, poisoned, exploited in many different ways. So, the first challenge there is being able to detect that usage or any misconfigurations, right? So if your internal employees are using that, you need to be able to see if there's misconfigured APIs, right, that are publicly exploitable, or if there's shadow AI deployments within your company. You need to have that visibility into your environment in order to be able to protect it, or you're just behind the eight ball.
Gotcha. So visibility is key, right? So I know that we've got different means and mechanisms of helping our clients gain visibility into these, new actors, good or bad. What sort of tech and methods are we using to kind of help our clients, mitigate some of that risk?
Yeah, so the main thing that we're showing off here is the CSPA, the Cloud Posture Assessment. The whole point of that is to see, do a health check, right, on your environment, and get in there and see what resources you have, see how they're configured, look at the architecture, really take a deep dive into those key areas, so then you can tackle the security, the cost optimization, compliance gaps, etc.
Sure. So this kind of fits in the bigger space of like GRC, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, yeah. That's part of our assessment, right? Is seeing what compliance regulations you need to adhere to, and the percentage and the specific vulnerabilities that you're missing from that compliance.
Yeah, I'll bet that's complicated. I mean, I'm thinking about, different regions, GDPR or GDPR and HIPAA and PII and PHI, and so there's certainly regional aspects, and I'm sure vertical aspects to it. Financial services getting audited, by big fours and things like that. So, or even government, compliance and regulations. So, yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of nuance to all this. So, I'm glad that you're here to kind of help us, understand it a bit more. So, did you want to show us? I think you mentioned the CSPA, right? So the Cloud Security Posture Assessment, and this is kind of like as far as I understand, this is a time boxed sort of a low commitment, quick win sort of a way for our security practitioners in PMsquare to be able to help our clients. Did you want to show us anything around like what that looks like or what that might be?
Absolutely. So I think the first question there to answer is, what is a cloud security posture assessment, what it really is, and then how it helps customers, right? I think those are the first two things to touch on, and then I can share some slides. But basically, cloud security posture assessment is just essentially a deep dive into an organization's architecture, their cloud environment, in order to identify those key areas. So those key areas being security risks, compliance gaps, as we just mentioned, and the cost inefficiencies. So you can think of it as like a health check, where we go in and we look at things, specifics like, misconfiguration and misconfigured IAM roles and publicly accessible resources or APIs, exposed storage buckets, right? So you got the, et cetera there. That list goes on for a while. But at the end of the day, the CSPA gives organizations a roadmap, a clear roadmap into their environment, and we can show them where the risks are, where we can save the money, and then, you know, the steps they need to take in the future to improve that maturity and their overall, you know, security posture. And that's super important in today's market, right? With the rise of AI, as we mentioned, the adoption to all the SaaS tools, you know, the expansion in complex cloud workloads. So really, really critical there.
Yeah, it sounds very kind of broad and nuanced. So I'm really happy that we came to market with this time boxed way of kind of allowing our customers to dip their feet in this space without, you know, it being some, you know, ambiguous time and material sort of a thing, right? I'm pretty sure this offering is time boxed. I want to say 2 weeks. Is that right? Is that what we offer?
So the timeline for the initial assessment is 4 to 5 weeks, which is really quick for looking at the entirety of your architecture.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Did you want to share some slides, or you want to just talk about it?
Let me do that. So share screen. Okay, this guy here.
Yeah, while RC is pulling that up, Greg, that's a great question you asked, right? So from what do we do when we work on a CSPA type of engagement? Basically, the intent is to clearly understand from an architecture standpoint whether your architecture is enabled in the first place. Like, for example, in the cloud space, you know, you have to make sure that microsegmentation is at play, right? Where if there's a attack, a ransomware attack, the attacker can't go horizontally on your environment, right? So having those types of capabilities around architecture itself with a micro-segmented architecture is very important, right? So those are things we have to think about as we start to think and take the journey of the cloud CSPA.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you know, ransomware is certainly in the news a lot lately. So micro-segmentation sounds like a very wise approach to kind of mitigating some of that risk. But RC, if you want to take it away, I'd love to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's dive into the scope of our specific offering. So, you know, we have that initial engagement meeting, right? That kickoff meeting. And this could come from an ideation session where one of the solutions is, you know, to look into a CSPA, or just, you know, we come straight to the client with this offering. So in the kickoff meeting, we like to define the project goals, communicate expectations between both parties, so we're, you know, on the same page, and we'll also, you know, try to just gather as much information about your environment, about your critical workloads, where the, you know, important data is held, etc. And then after that we'll distribute a questionnaire for the client to answer so that we can better understand their environment, and we'll also provide, you know, that list of permissions so that our solution architects can get into your AWS environment and start digging around and learning about your structure. And then that next step is the discovery. So we review the questionnaire and we have a meeting with, you know, the client, and we say, hey, you said this, let's expand on that, right? So the goal here is just to learn as much as possible about your environment and really align on the security priorities between, you know, the client and any constraints they may have as well. And then after that, we move on to the actual assessment. So we leverage an awesome CSPA scanning tool in order to run the scan and conduct a baseline security scan of your environment and all the key risk areas that we want to touch there. So based on that, we perform, you know, a detailed analysis of your architecture and any security risks and areas for optimization. And there's certain areas. Oh, go ahead.
So tech-assisted services is kind of what this comes down to. Do clients have to buy any software, or is that something we bring to the table?
That's part of a package that we sell.
Okay. And is some of this kind of automated? I mean, obviously you mentioned scanners, right? So I'm sure they're, you know, probing endpoints and doing, you know, interesting things to kind of figure out where the risks might lie. I'm assuming a lot of it's automated.
Yes, yeah. The whole scan is pretty much automated. But what I was just going to say is part of that scan, we go in manually as well to certain areas, right? Maybe it's certain areas that the client specifically requests. Maybe it's certain areas that that we think are just so important, right? We have a list of areas that are important or resources that are important that we go into and spend some extra time on and really manually double check that as well. And we can automate some of the remediations within the tool as well, but most of those, done manually.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm assuming in the findings and recommendations, we just kind of synthesize what we found and make a roadmap in conjunction with the clients in order to kind of figure out what to address, whether automated or not, right?
Bingo, exactly. Yeah, it's a customized, tailored remediation plan, and then we include a roadmap with those timelines, those costs for in order to outline those ongoing steps for the future maturity and remediations.
Fantastic. Sanjeev, I hope we do this internally too.
Yes, funny you brought that up. We, RC and the team, have done an internal cloud security process assessment of our AWS environments. And to answer your question, yes, we do this. We always make sure that it works well internally first before we expand it outside. So this is a
Fantastic.
great example of that.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I think the key thing to note on this slide is, once we hit that point where we finish the assessment, that's when we accelerate. That's the time when we accelerate the remediation process, because we understand when a client sees all the a bunch of critical vulnerabilities, the first question to us is, how can we fix this as soon as possible? So that's when we start accelerating that process, in implementing sprints, right? Really trying to help the client, stay as secure as possible.
Yeah, I'd imagine this is a space where speed to action is really, really critical. I mean, honestly, in this space, it seems like things happen very fast, and your risk mitigation strategies kind of dictate just how vulnerable you are. So, I mean, I would imagine speed to action is critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah, regarding speed to action, one of the KPIs that we have to measure on is the security and risk-based KPIs. And part of that is there are two things that we have to focus on, which is mean time to detect and then mean time to respond, right? So to your point, correct, those are very, the security and risk-based KPIs are very critical in this effort. And so speed to market, speed to getting things done is very important.
Well, and like you said before, if you don't measure it, it doesn't matter to you.
Yep.
So get to measuring it, and we can show you how. RC, you want to move? Do you have anything more to show in the deck?
Yeah, yes, I get two more slides. So this slide here, business objectives, just really highlights the four major things that, the four major goals of the assessment, right? So the first one being, it's security. It's enhancing your security by identifying all of the vulnerabilities across your environments, right? And then it's identifying those gaps in compliance in order to meet that compliance. And we can, through the tool, we can provide a specific percentage point of compliance that you are with each, with each regulatory compliance that you need to follow. That's really cool. And we can provide you with the specific list of vulnerabilities that that you're missing, right? That is the gap, right? So we identify the gaps specifically and are able to help address those. And then
that must be so helpful for those entities that get audited. I'm thinking banks at the different levels. I'm thinking financial services. I'm thinking government entities. You've got to have a a formal plan, and you better be auditing, right? And this is a proactive measure here. So I mean, I'd imagine anything that we do to help in this space only helps with full-on auditing from other entities, whether they're government entities or external third parties. This is kind of the proactive way to go about that.
Exactly. And it's a big ask from our customers. So it's important that we have that page and that capability to help them out in that area. Yeah. And then we move on to, cost optimization. There's so many areas where you can save money, whether it's savings plans or reserved instances or resizing already existing resources. Right sizing is the word they use. So there's a lot of companies just overlook it, or they're not comfortable maybe with with paying some more money up front. So we give them that analysis and all the different options, the 1 year, the 3 year, partial up front, full payment up front. So we can really show the max amount of savings possible.
That is fantastic. I mean, so not only are we talking about security posture, but we're also talking about cost savings, cloud cost savings, right? So, and I'm assuming we're using something automated to kind of help understand their consumption and suggestions for what they could do differently. So, I mean, in theory, somebody could pay for the findings that we have here and the cost savings we suggest could probably pay for this sort of an engagement in and of itself, which is pretty amazing.
100%. And yeah, what we like to use is the in-house tool of whatever cloud environment. So if it's AWS, right, we're using those savings plans because then they can learn and be educated on that process and be able to do it in the future if they're not, right? So and have the specific pages and areas to go look into.
Gotcha.
And then the last thing is to align all these the three previous items with your business purpose, right? We want to make sure we're as secure as possible while we increase productivity and efficiency within the company, right? So those are the main goals within the assessment. And then just a couple more things to note here. So one of them is, we're cloud agnostic, right? So this solution, covers, all different kinds of cloud environments, and we're able to, ensure that you have a clear understanding of your posture, no matter your cloud provider, which is important in today's age, because a lot of companies and organizations have, multi-cloud for a majority of different reasons. Our team also helps with automation if needed. So we want to ensure that all security measures are taken, so we can increase automation and alerting for detection of malicious or specific actions, and then we can help automate responses to those threats in real time, right? So that minimizes the work that your team has to do and increases the efficiency to which you're attacking issues in your environment.
Yep. Mean time to respond. I get it.
Absolutely. So that's an area where a lot of organizations are really lacking. So important there. Then also, tagging off of that point, we help build out different policies. So we have templates, right? So IR templates, disaster recovery and business continuity areas, and certain playbooks that we can build out for you and help with your team to establish, that plan, that robust plan, and then start those practices as well. Then the last piece is training education. So, we try to create all opportunities possible for your internal organization to, teams to learn and be educated. And I think this is important for, growing and the future projection of your cloud environment. And here we can leverage, existing training, right? If your company has initial know before training when you first sign on, like we can have, employees take those new trainings videos, right? Or whatever type of training it is. And then we can help educate you guys along the way. That's all I have for the slides there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I didn't realize that it was so comprehensive. I mean, we're talking business disaster recovery, continuity across AZs. We're talking about security posture, detection, vulnerabilities. We're talking about cost savings on cloud. This is pretty comprehensive, in my opinion, and it sounds like we're able to tailor it based on the client's needs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's important that we meet the client, where their needs are, and try to help them in whatever area possible. And that's why our ideation sessions have been so successful, is because we have these niche areas that they need in the markets in today's world.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, these ideation sessions we offer to key clients and really allow them to dream art of the possible for lots of different areas, not just cloud security posture, but also Gen AI and data practice and presentation analytics side, planning implications, analytics maturity. So there's a lot of expertise that we bring to the table and allow our clients to grow based on where they want to go. And specifically around the ideation, I mean, I see this as a fantastic way to allow our clients to also start dipping their toes in the waters of Gen AI, with a low risk, quick value sort of a minimum viable product. All for a very free or low cost sort of a proposition. So if that's something that intrigues you, make sure that you reach out to us. Sanjeev, in closing, I love this offering. This sounds very, very wise to me. I mean, we've seen the need for it, for quite a while, and I would imagine with, cloud adoption and even multi-cloud sort of exposures and all the stuff that we're all living with, every day through, Gen AI risks and ransomware and security vulnerabilities. I'd imagine it's only ramping even harder. So I'm very glad that we have this offering now. Anything you want to say in closing that kind of, I don't know, really makes it apparent to, people how necessary this is? Oh, I think you're on mute. You may be double muting yourself. There you go.
Sorry, there you go. So that's a great question, Craig. And I think to sum it up, as I started the conversation, the need for cloud security process assessment and management is more important than ever. With the rapid adoption of these viral AI tools, the enterprises have to catch up to it. So that is why instrumentations around these is very important. Creating that rapid incident response is very important. Understanding, data loss and prevention is very important, right? So over the overarching offering that we have from CSPA, not only are we going to look at the posture of your current cloud environment, but also help our customers understand where you can go from here. Whether you want to uncover, use cases around generative AI using your own data, what we call shadow AI, or looking at doing a comprehensive CSPA through our ideation session. It is very, very compelling to our customers. It is what I call born out of necessity, right? So PMsquare is putting this offering out there for a reason, because this is a very important aspects of every enterprise today. If you look at Forrester IDC's Gartner charts, the highest on that, the top of the mind of all C-levels is security, right? And it couldn't be more important now based on these viral AI tools in the market today.
Yeah, and we are reactive in a lot of ways, but if you as IT practitioners, and the reality is, if you've got means and mechanisms in place, processes and procedures in order to kind of mitigate this risk before whatever new actor becomes a risk, you're going to be in much better shape than being in that reactive mode. So learn how to be proactive using our cloud security posture assessment, and we'd be more than happy to tell you more. The best way to reach us is through PMsquare.com. There's a big get in touch button up there with a form that you can fill out and just say that you're interested in the cloud security posture assessment. I'd be remiss to not mention our PMsquare YouTube channel. There's so much content out there. I think we're in the, I don't know, maybe thousands of videos by now on all sorts of different sort of topics, not just data and cloud, but plenty of other things as well. So definitely check us out there. And then, of course, sign up for our newsletter. We do stuff like this all the time, and that's a fantastic way to kind of keep in front of all this. So with that, Sanjeev, RC, thanks a bunch, guys. It was awesome to see you, and hopefully I get to see you again soon.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Craig and Sanjeev. Thanks.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
See ya.